Alright, here's the Harley Davidson that we just got done cleaning the carburetor with the AMSOIL power foam. And I got a reply wanting to know how to change the spark plugs on the bike. So, since we're out here, I'll show you where the plugs are. There's the plugs. And we'll show you how easy it is to change these plugs. Okay, but as we're doing the plugs here, we've got Richard, the Harley aficionado here. He's going to give you a little tidbit of advice here.
When your installation of the new S&S carburetor, you have to remember that on these particular models or any models, the S&S, you have to turn off the valve, otherwise you will start to have an overflow in the carburetor and it will start to leak fuel. Then you're going to be upset and wondering where the fuel is coming from. So when you're done riding, just make sure when you're stopped, just go ahead and just shut it off. That way, on the opposite side over here, you have an overflow drain, which is right here. Alright, and this actual hose is actually cut off. We'll need to go ahead and replace that because that should actually be flowing towards the rear of the bike, so it doesn't cause any damage or any fires.
Good point.
Alright, what we have here is a 1989 Sportster 883. It's been modified, worked on. It's got the Super Eagle, the Screaming Eagle kit. So the system, the motorcycle has been modified. Now this motorcycle, unlike the newer models, have two spark plugs, and you're going to need a 5/8 socket wrench to go ahead and remove both spark plugs. You have one in the front, one in the rear. Normally what you want to do is go ahead and warm up the bike. It makes it easier to go ahead and remove the spark plugs.
And what is warm up the bike? Just a few minutes, not go down to the local grocery store, right?
Nah, I would just run it for about a minute, 2 minutes, get a nice warm operating temperature, and then as it's cooling down, go ahead and remove it. Now this spark plug here looks like it's running a little lean on the mixture of the fuel and air. I like to go ahead and remove the socket wrench, makes it easier to maneuver and get to the spark plugs. And that one too.
And when you say they're running lean, that means there's not enough fuel going in with the air mixture.
Correct. The carburetor needs to be adjusted properly.
Okay. And the color that it is what, dark black?
This is a dark powder black.
Dark powder, and that signifies lean.
Yeah, and also when you're running it, you'll see on your exhaust that it'll start to blow out black smoke.
Which it does.
Now these are pre-gapped. I gapped them earlier to dot 4.40.
Okay.
Dot 40. The book recommends anywhere from 0.38 to 0.42.
So you went for the middle.
I went for the middle.
Nice.
Now you could go ahead and put Screaming Eagle spark plugs on here.
I'm a big fan of NGK.
Or you
all
can put
the jet ski
NGKs.
racing I did in my life always ran NGK plugs in my boats.
Highly recommended for motorcycles or any European cars because of the heat. It dissipates the heat much better than most of your like Bosch. The range on the heat on the spark plugs are much greater than the NGKs.
Just putting them in finger tight for now. Getting them threaded.
Now, as I mentioned earlier, this is a 1989 Sportster. Has been modified. The newer Sportsters will have normally 4 plugs. My previous bike at a 1991 Sportster had 4 plugs. And you're not don't want to tighten them. Just once you hand tighten them and get them snug, a little quarter turn should be good. Okay, once you get the spark plugs nice and hand tightened and snug, you get them tightened. And once you get a little bit of snug, I just give it a nice quarter turn, and you should be set.
So you don't need to break out the air impact wrench.
No impact wrench.
That's it.
That's it.
That's a complete plug change on the Harley Davidson. If it had 4 plugs, you just would have had 2 on the other side.
It's 2 on the same.
So,
yep.
No big deal. Just double that if you've got 4 plugs. Pretty simple. We
All right.
thank you, Richard.
Let's start it up and see what it sounds like.
All right, you're gonna fire it.